Hey all you submariners out there, this is Matt and welcome to episode number 17 of my Cold Waters Elite Difficulty playthrough. Today we're pretty much just going to jump right into things. This footage is taken from the midst of a session of playing Cold Waters, so I actually just picked up pretty much exactly where we left off here, and the mission is to launch another TLAM mission to Murmansk. So that's what we're doing right now. Unlike last time, I'm taking a little bit more of an aggressive line here, which almost backfires on me when these two encounter groups almost get me, but I'm able to slip by there. But I do encounter one coming around the Horn of Norway. Really, I should have taken a bit more of an inside track there, more closer to the coast to avoid this kind of thing, but I was not able to do that.
So for ultra quiet.
We'll take this engagement and see what we can do with it. We start the engagement at 26 knots, and before we even get to like 20 knots, we have a contact already. So whatever it is pretty loud, because we were doing 20 knots and we still were able to hear them. So I'm trying to classify the contact, but there's a lot of noise on the sonar scope, so it's going to be a little bit difficult. I can see some of the lines.
New contact bearing 173, designated Sierra 2.
Okay, so Sierra 1 looks like a November. An older boat, which really doesn't threaten me much at all as long as I don't do anything stupid. So we'll fire off a weapon at the November right away, more like, once again, a defensive type weapon. While the wire broke immediately, it looks like it's heading in the proper direction here. And I set the weapon to engage quite close in to make sure that if he's closer than sonar thinks he is, then the weapon won't miss him. So now I've got contact Sierra 2, which I've classified as a Victor 2, and I'm going to shoot at the Victor 2.
Bearing 082.
Alright, we'll skip ahead to where the torpedo reaches the November first.
Last bearing 083. Contact breaking up.
And then we'll switch our focus to the one heading towards the Victor 2, which is, well, until very shortly was heading straight in towards me at a high rate of speed, so probably did not hear this weapon until the last second, and now is turning to evade, but it's too late.
Con sonar lost contact. Sierra 2, last bearing 185. Contact breaking up.
So that's it for the Victor 2. I'm going to set a course
to 182.
Head towards the last known bearing of the Victor 2. Once again, hoping to pick up any more contacts from somebody else who might be around. In the end, I don't receive any and decide, well, that's probably it for this engagement. So, yeah, there's nobody else nearby, and those are the only two submarines on this encounter. So we'll move on. So now we're approaching Murmansk. Oh, looks like another encounter before I get there. Moving at 26 knots. Contact bearing 59. Our heading is 190. So they'll be about 130 degrees to the left. So a little bit behind. A little bit behind and to the left. Once again, starting at 26 knots, I'm going to rig the boat for ultra quiet first thing, so that I can get some use out of my sonar. And unlike last time, I don't get a contact almost right away, so whoever it is doing a much better job of being quiet about it. And because I don't have anything, I'm going to change my aspect in the water. I'm going to change my direction to give my towed array a better chance of picking up something. I get an active ping from sonar, 2 active pings from different directions. Still no contacts, but I'm getting active sonar pings. I'm going to use that information as enough to send a torpedo in the direction of whoever's sending those sonar pings. If you've learned anything about me so far through this playthrough, it's that I don't mess around. I don't tend to wait very long before firing a weapon. Now, that's mostly due to the fact that I know there's nobody else out here that's a friendly in this area. If I was dealing with other friendly submarines or surface ships in the area, I would definitely be more careful as to when I shoot and who I'm shooting at. But since I know I'm the only one out here, I don't waste any time. A sonar ping, an active sonar ping, is enough information for me to act on. I figure if they're close enough to be pinging me with sonar, must mean that they have some idea that I'm here.
Sonar, Sierra 2 is classified as escort.
So we've skipped ahead a little bit, and now I have actually gotten a few contacts here. The first one is a cash-in. That's Sierra 2. I have another currently active contact, Sierra 3, and Sierra 1 was active at one point, but then dropped off. So before I was able to
contact. Sierra
classify
3,
it.
Last bearing 047. Contact faded.
Seeing as Sierra 2 is a cash-in, it's probably actually a Krevac, going by what I've experienced in this campaign. I guess we'll see at the end. So now, contact Sierra 3 has popped back up again. It's obviously a submarine, and they're about the same location, Sierra 2 and Sierra 3. So I fired another torpedo number 3, in that same general direction. Meanwhile, keeping an eye on weapon number 1 as well. I set weapon number 2, which is approaching the cash-in. I set that to active. And then it just guides itself in.
Contact Sierra 2, last bearing 0.
I'll reload that tube, and then busy myself here looking at weapon number 1. Skip ahead to where weapon number 1, or weapon number 2, sorry. No, that's weapon number 1. Weapon number 1 finally does gain contact on Sierra 1 without me even having Sierra 1 as a contact. So it didn't come back up again on my sonar scope, but that torpedo, following the active sonar pings from the direction of Sierra 1, was enough for me to get the torpedo where it needed to go. Now weapon number 3 has locked on to the Victor 2. Then I go back to the TMA screen so I can select Victor 2 as a contact, and then verify what sort of solution I have, which is not terrible. Anyway, the weapon comes around and finally hits Sierra 2 right in the bow.
Contact breaking up.
Now the only contact on this mission that I need to worry about is Sierra 4, which I've once again classified as a cash-in, which is actually probably a Krevac. Now that I'm more confident about his direction and location, I fire a weapon in the direction of Sierra 4. Set it to activate shallow, and then pretty much activate it right away. Then I'll make sure that I steer it in the proper direction. Now we're going to fast forward here to when it's approaching the cash-in.
053. Fire control.
Speed up time a little bit here. Watch the torpedo do its thing until it finally strikes home. I should have slowed it down before that, but I kind of got carried away a little bit. And so that's it for Sierra 4. I believe that should be the last contact on this mission. I'll stick around a little bit longer, just in case. Yeah, so no vessels nearby. Those were the 4, and both those caches were Krevacs. I'm having a real hard time with that class of ship. Alright, so that's it for that encounter group. I think I should be able to make it to Murmansk now without being intercepted. So yeah, this is the TLAM mission. Close to, I can't close to any closer than 25,000 yards. It's going to be even farther back than that, but it won't let me click that button. Make sure that my tubes are loaded with TLAMs, and then click all hands man battle stations. I'm just showing here that you can initiate combat
Rig ship for
by clicking that button. So I'll rig for ultra quiet as soon as the mission starts. Just like the last TLAM mission, I'm going to set a course towards the target circle.
Come right to 2.
Then I'm going to speed things up a little bit.
Turns for 10 knots. Maneuvering
I'm
eye.
going to set my speed to about 10 knots. As quick as I can without cavitating really, which
400.
I could do more than 10 knots at this speed, but 10 knots is okay. I just don't want to risk them hearing me before I start firing missiles. After that, I don't care, but until then, I don't want them to be heading in my direction. So we sped up time. We're heading towards the missile launch circle. You know, not too far, but just get a little bit closer. Then I set my course to
Come right to
180 degrees away from where I was, so that I'm pointing away from the target. I'll set my depth to 150 feet. In the meantime, while I'm doing the turn, that way I can get a couple things done at once here. Once I'm on the proper course, I'm going to launch my first salvo of 4 missiles over my shoulder towards the target.
Aye, sir. Shoot 2-3. Aye, sir.
Once they're gone, I'm going to reload the tubes with the next 4 TLAMs. Dive down as deep as I can in the conditions, which is about 350 feet. And speed up time until the torpedo tubes are loaded again. You can see off to the left there that there's a helicopter around here.
10 knots. Maneuvering eye.
And here I should have adjusted my depth beforehand. I kind of wasted a little bit of time there.
Make turns for 5. Make
Ain't
turns
nobody's
for
perfect, eh?
10 knots. Maneuvering eye.
So I'm just waiting for the depth to get to about 150 feet. I believe with these Tomahawk missiles you could launch them. Oh, so we just got an update there that the first 4 missiles are homing on the land target, which is great. I believe with these Tomahawk missiles you could launch them at about 200 feet or less. I come up to 150. So we're approaching that now, counting down, we're at about 155 feet. So then when I get near 150, that's fine. So I'm going to fire off the next 4 missiles.
Aye, sir. Shoot 2-3. Aye, sir.
We're already heading in the right direction. I'm just going to reload tubes 1, 2, 3, and 4 with my usual loadout, which is 3 torpedoes and 1 anti-ship missile.
Make depth 400 feet. Dive by.
Make turns for 2.
Con sonar, we are cavitating.
So I dove down to 400
No
feet,
longer cavitating.
and now I've sped up. And because it's a day mission now, I can really watch these torpedoes approach. So I'm watching one of the first 4 here make an approach on Murmansk. You get a much better view of the port. Now this missile kind of goes on a long meandering journey for whatever reason. Seems to be a little bit confused as to what its target really is. And as it's doing that, you can see other missiles have arrived and hit their target. So it goes around in circles and finally picks a target. So that's it for the first 4 missiles that I launched towards Murmansk.
Tube 1 ready.
Now we'll focus on the next group of 4,
knots.
just to give you an idea of what it looks like if you haven't had the opportunity to launch a TLAM mission and really enjoy it for what it is. Maybe you've been too busy dodging torpedoes, maybe you've made it a little bit more complicated than it needs to be, so you haven't had a chance to really watch these missiles head in. Some of the things you can do is actually use them to spot things, such as this helicopter here. So this missile's going overhead, and you can see the helicopter below dropping his dipping sonar and listening for me, and he's nowhere near me because this missile has traveled for quite a while, and I'm only seeing the helicopter now. So
Con, torpedo.
once the missiles reach land, this is what you get to see here. Just flying over a little peninsula here near Murmansk, getting an idea of what the landscape looks like. And we'll skip ahead to the point here where the torpedoes finally lock onto the land target. So you'll see them change direction when that happens. There you go. Change directions now. Homing in on the land target. That was the first one. And I try to catch the next few, but it doesn't quite work out, even though I keep getting the update that the torpedoes are homing on their land targets now. So all 4 are now homing, and I could leave the mission if I wanted to. But I'm going to watch this through to the end. Bit of a weird cut there, sorry about that. So now we're watching the missiles approach. The last 4 missiles approach Murmansk. That one hit a tank farm. There, I'm kind of worried that the helicopter might be a bit closer than I thought. Yeah, there are weapons incoming, so may have to worry about that. It'll keep me from being able to watch
We are cavitating.
the rest of those missiles hit home. I'm going to speed up to flank speed immediately because I hear there's a torpedo coming. Although I can't see it. I'm assuming it's behind me somewhere. Well, that's fine. So after traveling at flank speed for a little while,
Con sonar, no longer cavitating.
and diving down to 500 feet or below. Well, I've slowed down to 26 knots, that's why I stopped cavitating. Anyway, that's it. The helicopter's nowhere nearby, the torpedo's nowhere nearby, and I'm going to exit this mission. Didn't sink anybody, didn't engage anybody, that's fine. The point of this is to launch the missiles and not sink ships. So we get the newspaper article about successfully launching that mission. And now the next mission, April 24th, 1985, we're going to sink some cruise missile subs heading through the Denmark Strait to the North Atlantic. That's the idea anyway. So I'm going to immediately back away from Murmansk, avoid all contacts, and get myself into a position where I can intercept any submarines coming through the Denmark Strait. Right now we're the 25th of April, so it took about a day to get where we are now, but we're already in a pretty good position to intercept anybody that comes our way. Now we're going to be in a much better position because I'm now behind the SOSUS line, so anybody that wants to come through the Denmark Strait has to pass through this way. So that was around April 25th. On May 1st, I'm still waiting, even though it said 2 to 4 days before they launched from Murmansk. Still waiting. Now there's a group down in the Norwegian Sea that I think might be it, but then it turns back and starts heading back. So anyway, that was May 1st. On May 5th, when it's been 12 days, I still have not seen that group of cruise missile subs. So I keep waiting. Skip ahead now. On May 17th, I've waited long enough that I've been able to go down to Holy Lock, resupply my torpedoes, and head back up to the Denmark Strait, and that sub has still not come through. I was thinking maybe that when I went down there, the mission would expire, and then I could just get the next one, but not so much. So I'm done waiting, kind of got sick and tired of waiting. I'm going to save the game, and then I'll bring up the summary here to show what we've done so far. So 140 days into the campaign, I've sunk 183 vessels for a total tonnage of nearly 1.1 million tons. So we're going to put a cut in the video here. As per per usual, I'm going to drop another video in the next couple days. Hopefully by then the cruise missile subs will have showed up. So until then, thanks for stopping by and have a great day.